apply our right triangle trig information to some various word and application problems. So some of the stuff that we're going to need to know are sine, cosine, and tangent identities, which are sine equals your opposite over your hypotenuse, cosine equals your adjacent over your hypotenuse, and tangent equals your opposite over your adjacent. We're also going to use Pythagorean's theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And lastly, we're going to use our knowledge of triangle angles, that all angles in a triangle have to add up to 180 degrees. So angle A plus angle B plus angle C equals 180 degrees. And so all of that is either stuff that was covered in geometry or stuff that we've covered in this previous unit. Alright, so if we look at example 1a, we're given this specific right triangle which has a side of 19.4 and angle A of 34.2 degrees. And we're asked to find all of our other sides and all of our other angles. I'm going to start with our angles because we know that all angles in a triangle have to add up to be 180 degrees. And I also know that angle A is 34.2 degrees. Angle C is 90 degrees because it's a right triangle. So what I need to find is angle B. Okay, so if you saw that, B is what? 55.8? 55.8. 32 plus 90 is 124. So yeah, 55.8. So angle B I know is 55.8 degrees. So now I have all of my angles, so the second thing it asks me to find is all of my sides. So I know that I have an adjacent side, meaning that my side connected to my angle, my side is connected to my angle, which makes it adjacent. I need to find my opposite side, and I need to find my hypotenuse. And so if I start with cosine, I know that cosine of my angle is adjacent over my hypotenuse. So I'm going to start by finding my hypotenuse. And so to do that, cosine then of my angle, which is 34.2 degrees, is going to be equal to my adjacent, which is 19.4, over my hypotenuse, which is what we're trying to find. And so if we solve that for h, then I get h is equal to 19.4 divided by cosine of 34.2. And so you're going to want to make sure your calculators are in degree mode first. So if you go to mode on your calculator, it's up by your second button. You need to make sure that you've got degree selected because we're talking about degrees. And so then in your calculator, you're going to plug in 19.4 divided by cosine of 34.2. And then what do you get approximately? I don't know, like 2, probably. Okay. 23.46. It's just 23.46. We're talking about a length, so it can't be degrees. So 23.46. So now that we found our h, then the last thing we have to find is our adjacent side. Or no, I'm sorry, our opposite side. So we have our adjacent, we have our angle, and we're trying to find our opposite side. So we have to plug it into sine or tangent. I'm going to choose tangent because I know the tangent is equal to my opposite over my adjacent. So opposite's what I'm looking for, adjacent is what I have. So that tells me then tangent of 34.2 degrees is equal to my opposite side, which I don't know, divided by 19.4. So to solve that for your opposite, you multiply by 19.4, multiply by 19.4. So my opposite side is equal to 19.4 times tangent of 34.2 degrees. So that's what you would plug into your calculator. So what does that give me then that my opposite side is equal to 2 decimal places? $13.18. So my opposite side is equal to 13.18. So let's do the same thing again. So we're given our right triangle. We need to find all of our sides and all of our angles. And we're given one side equal to 15. Alright, so we're given this angle. I'm going to start by finding my angle. So angle B, I know has to add up with my other angles, which is 20 degrees and 90 degrees to 180. Because all triangle angles have to add up to 180. And so I know 20 plus 90 is 110. So B plus 110 equals 180. So B would equal 70 degrees. So now I have all my angles because I know one is 20, I know one is 90, I know one is 70. The next thing I have to find is my sides. Okay, and so this is my adjacent side because it's connected to my angle of 20 degrees. My opposite side then is side A, and my hypotenuse is side C. So if I want to find my hypotenuse, I'm going to use the fact that I know that cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine of 20 degrees is equal to my adjacent side, which is 15, over my hypotenuse. So if I rearrange the formula so that h is by itself, I get hypotenuse is equal to 15 divided by cosine of 20. And what is 15 divided by cosine of 20? $15.96. So h is equal to 15.96. The last side that I have to find is my opposite side. So if I use the fact that I know tangent is opposite over adjacent, then tangent of 20 degrees is equal to my opposite side, which I don't know, divided by my adjacent side, which is 15. And so by rearranging my formula, then I get 15 times tangent of 20 is equal to my opposite side. And so what's 15 times tangent of 20? 5.46. So my opposite side is equal to 5.46. Alright, so some of it is just going to give you a triangle, other times it's going to give you word problems, and I think that it's always easiest to draw a picture with my word problems, so that's my very artsy picture. So the problem says that Safety regulations state that the maximum angle of elevation for a ladder from a fire truck is 72 degrees. So that's why I've got my fire truck, and I've got my ladder going up at an angle of 72 degrees. It also says that the fire department's longest ladder is 110 feet, which is why I labeled my ladder 110. And I need to figure out the safe rescue height. So for my building, my safe rescue height then would be what I labeled A, side A. And so let's use the information we have to find side A. So I have an angle, and I have a hypotenuse, and side A is my adjacent side. So what trig identity am I going to use to find my A? What trig identity uses your, that's not adjacent, that's opposite, sorry, opposite and your hypotenuse? Sine. So sine uses your opposite and your hypotenuse. Sine is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. So sine of my angle, which is 72 degrees, is going to be equal to my side that I don't know, my opposite, over my hypotenuse of 110. So to solve for O, you multiply by 110 on each side. So my opposite side is equal to 110 times sine of 72 degrees. So then what is 110 times sine of 72 degrees? 104.62. So, and we're talking about feet in this case, 104 feet. So your building cannot be more than 104.62 feet above the fire truck. That's what that tells me. Alright, so let's do one more. And then we'll call it good. So we're going to talk about a house. So we have a ladder that's 16 feet long that leans against the side of a house. So you see I've got my pretty little house drawn and my ladder is leaning against the side of my house, and it's 16 feet long. And it wants to find the height from the top of the ladder to the ground if the angle of elevation is 74 degrees. This should be a 4. 74 degrees. So I'm trying to find my A if I'm at 74 degrees. So I'm given an angle and I'm given a hypotenuse, and this side is going to be my opposite side to my angle. So what trig identity am I going to use that uses opposite and hypotenuse? Sine, yep, sine uses opposite and hypotenuse. So sine of my 74 degrees is equal to my opposite side, which I don't know, over my hypotenuse, which it told me was 16 feet. So I gotta multiply by 16 on both sides to get rid of, to get the O by itself, my opposite side by itself. So I end up with 16 times sine of 74 degrees. And what is 16 times sine of 74 degrees? 15.38 feet. So that tells me that my ladder is only going to reach up 15.38 feet on my house. So hopefully I don't have a very tall house. Okay, so that's what you guys are going to be working today. You're going to probably want to draw pictures on some of them because it'll help you visualize. So on 5 through 14, you're going to do what we did on those triangles, using your angles to find your sides and your other angles. Once you get to 15, you're going to draw some triangles, do the same thing, and when you hit 19, that's where you're going to start those word problems where you're finding your lengths. So basically 5 through 18 is what we did on those first two examples. 19 through 22 are your word problems finding your length.